Hey guys. Tonight, we're going somewhere quiet, strict, and centuries away. If you enjoy this kind of slow, immersive storytelling that helps you drift off to sleep while learning about forgotten lives from the past, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you'd like, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. I always love hearing from you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft hum, and let's drift back in time. You are already on your knees, your fingers working methodically across the worn wooden floorboards of the main hall. The cloth in your hands is damp and cold from the bucket beside you, and each stroke follows the grain of the wood in long, careful sweeps. The morning light has not yet touched the paper screens, but you have been awake for nearly an hour, moving through the house in practiced silence. Your back aches from bending, but you do not pause. The floorboards must be cleaned before your master rises, before the first footstep echoes down the corridor. You know the sound of his walk, the particular rhythm of his wooden sandals against these same boards you now tend. In perhaps half an hour, you will hear that familiar cadence, and by then, every surface in this room must gleam. The cloth grows dirty quickly. You rinse it in the bucket, wringing it with both hands until the water runs clear between your fingers. The sound is soft, almost musical in the pre-dawn quiet. Outside, you can hear the first stirrings of birds, but inside, there is only your breathing and the gentle whisper of cloth against wood. You move to the next section of floor, your knees shifting across the surface you have already cleaned. The tatami mats will come later. First, the wooden borders, the thresholds, the spaces where dust gathers in the night. Your hands are rough now from months of this work, calloused in places that were once soft. The cloth catches slightly on the small cuts and scrapes that mark your fingers, tiny reminders of yesterday's tasks. The smell of the wood cleaner fills your nostrils, a mixture of rice vinegar and something herbal that the head servant prepares each morning. It is not unpleasant, but it clings to your clothes and hair, marking you as one who works with their hands. You have grown accustomed to carrying these scents with you throughout the day. From somewhere deeper in the house, you hear the soft shuffle of another servant beginning their morning duties. Perhaps it is old Kenji in the kitchen, starting the charcoal for the morning tea. Or maybe it is Yuki, already in the garden, sweeping the stone paths that must be clear of leaves before the sun fully rises. You do not know for certain, and you do not pause to wonder. Your task is here, in this room, with these floorboards that stretch before you like a wooden sea. The bucket water grows murky as you work. Soon you will need to empty it and refill it from the well, but not yet. There is still half the room to clean, and you move with the steady rhythm of someone who has done this countless times before. Dip the cloth, wring it, sweep across the wood, rinse, repeat. Your knees follow your hands, sliding across the floor in a kind of dance that has become second nature. You think of nothing but the wood beneath your hands. This single-minded focus has taken months to develop, but now it comes naturally. When your mind wanders to the ache in your back or the cold seeping through your thin kimono, you bring your attention back to the grain of the wood, to the way the cloth glides across its surface, to the small imperfections and scratches that tell the story of this room's daily life. A beam creaks somewhere above you. The house is waking slowly, like an old person stretching after sleep. You know every sound this building makes, every groan and whisper of settling wood. In the winter, the house contracts and speaks in sharp cracks. In the summer, it expands with long, slow sighs. Now, in the gentle coolness of early autumn, it murmurs softly as the temperature begins to change with the approaching dawn. Your cloth has grown thin from use, and you feel the texture of the wood more directly through the worn fabric. There is a meditation in this work, a kind of prayer made manifest through repetitive motion. Your hands know where to press harder, where to be gentle, where the wood has been worn smooth by years of footsteps and where it still holds the rough marks of the carpenter's plane. The bucket is nearly empty now. You sit back on your heels for a moment, allowing yourself this brief rest. Your reflection wavers in the dirty water, fragmented and unclear. You see pieces of your face, distorted by the ripples your movements have created. For a moment, you wonder what you looked like before you came to this house, before your hands became rough and your back permanently curved from bending. But such thoughts are luxury you cannot afford. You lift the bucket, careful not to let it scrape against the floor you have just cleaned, and pad silently toward the door. Your feet know exactly where to step to avoid the boards that creak. This knowledge has been earned through months of early morning mistakes, moments when a poorly placed foot sent a groan echoing through the sleeping house. The corridor is darker than the main hall, lit only by the faint gray light filtering through the paper screens at either end. You move like a shadow, the bucket balanced carefully in both hands. The water sloshes gently with each step, but you have learned to walk in a way that minimizes the sound. Your body has adapted to the requirements of silence. The well is in the small courtyard behind the kitchen. To reach it, you must pass through the servants' quarters, past the sleeping forms of 3 other household workers. They lie on thin mats, covered by quilts that have been mended many times. In the dim light, you can just make out the rise and fall of their breathing. Kenji sleeps with his mouth slightly open, making the softest of snoring sounds. His face, usually lined with concentration, is peaceful in sleep. You envy them these last minutes of rest, but not bitterly. Your turn to sleep a little longer will come on other mornings, when different tasks call for different schedules. This is simply the rhythm of the house, as natural and unchanging as the seasons. The kitchen still holds the warmth from last night's cooking fire, though the coals have long since died to ash. You can smell the lingering scents of miso and rice, mixed with the smoky aroma of charcoal. Soon, Kenji will wake and rebuild the fire, and the kitchen will come alive with the sounds and smells of morning preparation. But for now, it sleeps as quietly as the servants. The door to the courtyard slides open with the faintest whisper. The morning air touches your face, cool and clean after the warmer interior of the house. Above, the sky is beginning to lighten, though the sun is still hidden behind the mountains to the east. The stones of the courtyard are dark with dew, and your cotton socks quickly grow damp as you cross to the well. The well is old, its wooden frame worn smooth by countless hands drawing water. The rope is rough against your palms as you lower the bucket, listening for the distant splash far below. The sound echoes strangely in the stone-lined shaft, seeming to come from another world entirely. You have often wondered how deep the well goes, imagining the water table far beneath the house, connected to underground streams that flow from the mountains. Drawing the water requires strength you have had to develop slowly. Your arms, once weak from a life of lighter tasks, have grown strong from this daily ritual. Hand over hand, you pull the heavy bucket upward, feeling the burn in your shoulders and forearms. The water sloshes and dances as it rises, occasionally splashing back down into the depths. When the bucket finally appears at the surface, it is full of water so clear you can see the wooden bottom through its depth. You pour it carefully into your cleaning bucket, watching the fresh water mix with the dirty remnants of your earlier work. The contrast is striking, the clean water swirling through the murky liquid like smoke through air. You make this trip 3 times, emptying and refilling your bucket until the water runs clear. By the time you finish, the sky has grown noticeably lighter, and you can hear stirring from inside the house. Your morning window for cleaning is closing rapidly. Back in the main hall, you resume your work with fresh urgency. The clean water makes your cloth more effective, and you move quickly across the remaining sections of floor. Your knees have grown accustomed to this position, though they will ache later in the day. Everything in this life involves such trade-offs, present necessities that will exact their payment in future discomfort. The floorboards gleam now in the growing light. You can see your reflection in the polished wood, clearer than it appeared in the bucket water but still wavering and imperfect. The surface holds the light like still water, transforming the plain wooden planks into something almost beautiful. You are wringing out your cloth for the final time when you hear the first footstep in the corridor. Not your master's distinctive stride, but the lighter step of another servant. Probably Yuki, heading to the kitchen to help Kenji with the morning meal preparation. The sound is soft but unmistakable, and it signals that the house is truly awakening. You gather your cleaning supplies quickly but quietly. The bucket, the cloth, the small bottle of cleaning solution, all must be returned to their proper places in the servant's storage area. As you work, you listen to the growing symphony of morning sounds. Water being poured into a kettle, the soft thud of charcoal being arranged in a brazier, footsteps moving with purpose through the corridors. The storage area is cramped but organized with the precision that governs every aspect of household life. Each item has its designated place, and returning something to the wrong spot would be noticed immediately by the head servant. You hang your cleaning cloth on its assigned hook, pour the remaining water into the proper basin, and place the empty bucket in its designated corner. Your first task is complete, but there is no time for rest. Already, you can smell the faint aroma of tea being prepared, which means Kenji has successfully rekindled the kitchen fire. Soon, your master will expect his morning tea, and you must ensure that the room where he takes his morning meal is properly prepared for his arrival. You return to the main hall, but now your focus shifts from the floor to the low table at the room's center. The table's surface is already clean, polished the evening before, but you inspect it carefully for any traces of dust that might have settled during the night. Your cloth, now clean and slightly damp, whisks across the smooth wood surface in gentle circles. The tea setting must be arranged with absolute precision. You have practiced this arrangement hundreds of times, but still you work slowly, checking and rechecking each element. The tea bowl, a simple ceramic piece worn smooth by daily use. The bamboo whisk, its delicate tines straight and clean. The small container for the tea powder, its lid fitting perfectly flush with its base. Each piece must be positioned exactly as your master prefers. The tea bowl sits precisely in the center of a particular section of the table, aligned with the grain of the wood. The whisk rests at a specific angle to the bowl's right side. The tea container occupies its designated spot to the left, its opening facing toward where your master will sit. These arrangements might seem arbitrary to an outsider, but you have learned that they embody a deeper principle of harmony and respect. The positioning of objects reflects an understanding of beauty and function that has been refined over generations. To place something carelessly would be to show disrespect not just to your master, but to the entire tradition of tea preparation itself. As you work, you become aware of the growing activity throughout the house. Voices speak in low tones in the kitchen. Footsteps move back and forth across the corridors. Somewhere, a door slides open and closed. The house is coming alive around you, but you remain focused on your immediate task, trusting that the other servants are attending to their own responsibilities with equal care. The morning light grows stronger, filtering through the paper screens and casting geometric patterns across the room. These patterns shift subtly as the sun rises, creating a slow, silent dance of light and shadow. You have watched this daily transformation countless times, and it never fails to bring you a moment of quiet pleasure, even in the midst of your work. From the kitchen comes the sound of water being heated, a gentle bubbling that speaks of tea soon to be ready. You know the timing by heart now. In perhaps 10 minutes, Kenji will signal that the water has reached the proper temperature. You will fetch it in the designated tea kettle, return to this room, and prepare the tea under your master's watchful eye. But before that moment arrives, there are other preparations to complete. You check the small cushion where your master will sit, ensuring it is properly positioned and free of any wrinkles or imperfections. You adjust the paper screen slightly, maximizing the gentle morning light while avoiding any harsh glare. You sweep imaginary dust from the tatami mats, your movements automatic and precise. These final minutes before your master's arrival are always filled with a particular kind of tension. Not fear, exactly, but a heightened awareness of every detail, every potential flaw that might draw his disapproval. You have learned to use this tension productively, letting it sharpen your attention and refine your movements. The sound of footsteps in the main corridor is different now, heavier and more deliberate. Your master is awake and moving through the house. The rhythm of his walk is as familiar to you as your own heartbeat, and you can track his progress through the building by the sound alone. He has stopped at the small shrine in his private quarters, probably for his morning prayers. Next, he will visit the lavatory, then proceed to the wash basin, and finally make his way here for his morning tea. You take one final look around the room, your eyes searching for anything that might be out of place. The floor gleams in the morning light. The table is perfectly arranged. The cushion sits exactly where it should. The screens filter the light beautifully. Everything is as it should be, as it must be. From the kitchen, you hear Kenji's soft call, the signal that the tea water is ready. You bow quickly toward the place where your master will soon sit, a gesture of respect and readiness, then pad silently toward the kitchen to collect the kettle. The kitchen is warm now, filled with the gentle heat of the rebuilt fire. Kenji nods as you enter, his weathered face serious in the morning light. He has been with this household for many years, and his movements around the kitchen have the fluid precision of long practice. The kettle sits at the perfect distance from the coals, its water heated to exactly the right temperature for tea preparation. You lift the kettle carefully, feeling its weight and the heat radiating from its iron surface. The handle is wrapped with cloth to protect your hands, but you can still feel the warmth through the fabric. This kettle has prepared thousands of cups of tea, and its surface has developed the deep, rich patina that comes only from years of daily use. As you return to the main hall, you can hear your master's footsteps growing closer. He is in the corridor now, perhaps pausing to examine something that has caught his attention. You set the kettle in its designated position beside the tea table and kneel in the proper posture for tea preparation, your back straight, your hands resting lightly on your thighs. The footsteps stop just outside the room. You lower your eyes respectfully and wait. The sound of the door sliding open is soft but unmistakable, followed by the whisper of silk as your master enters the room. His presence changes the atmosphere immediately, bringing with it a sense of authority and expectation that makes every movement more significant. He settles onto his cushion with the practiced grace of someone accustomed to spending long periods in seated meditation. You can see his hands from the corner of your lowered vision, and you know from their position that he is ready for his tea. Without looking up, without speaking, you begin the familiar ritual of preparation. The tea powder is measured with a small bamboo scoop, each portion exactly the same size as every portion you have prepared before. The powder falls into the bowl with the softest whisper, settling into a small green mound at the bowl's center. The color is rich and vibrant, speaking of tea leaves that were carefully grown, harvested, and processed. Hot water pours from the kettle in a thin, controlled stream. Too fast, and the tea will become bitter. Too slow, and it will lack the proper strength. The temperature must be perfect, the timing precise. You have learned to judge these things by instinct, by the subtle signs that reveal themselves only through countless repetitions of this same ritual. The bamboo whisk moves through the tea mixture with quick, efficient strokes. The water and powder blend together, transforming from separate elements into something unified and new. The surface of the tea develops a light foam, a sign that the preparation has been successful. The whisk moves in patterns that have been perfected over centuries, each stroke contributing to the final harmony of the drink. When the tea is ready, you lift the bowl with both hands and present it to your master. Your movements are slow and deliberate, every gesture expressing respect and attention. He accepts the bowl with the same ritual precision, his hands briefly touching yours as the tea changes possession. The moment is silent but meaningful, a small ceremony that acknowledges the relationship between service and acceptance. You remain kneeling as he drinks, your eyes lowered but your attention completely focused on his needs. If he requires anything, a gesture or a glance will communicate his desire more clearly than words. This silent communication has taken months to develop, but now it operates with the efficiency of long practice. The tea is consumed slowly, savored rather than merely drunk. You can hear the soft sounds of appreciation, the gentle sigh that indicates satisfaction with the preparation. These small signs of approval are precious to you, representing not just successful completion of a task but recognition of the care and attention you have invested in its performance. When the bowl is empty, your master sets it down with the same ritual precision with which he accepted it. You bow your head in acknowledgement, then begin the process of clearing the tea implements. Each item must be cleaned and returned to its proper place, ready for the next tea ceremony. The morning tea ritual is complete, but the day's work has barely begun. As your master rises and leaves the room, you can already hear sounds from other parts of the house that indicate the complexity of the tasks ahead. Somewhere, clothing is being prepared for the day. In another room, documents are being arranged for your master's review. The kitchen staff is preparing the morning meal. You gather the tea implements with the same care you used in their arrangement. The bowl still holds the faint warmth of the tea, and its ceramic surface shows the subtle staining that comes from daily use. You rinse it carefully in water that is warm but not hot, ensuring that the delicate ceramic is not shocked by sudden temperature changes. The bamboo whisk requires particular attention. Each of its fine tines must be cleaned individually, checked for damage, and arranged properly for drying. A broken tine would make the whisk useless, and replacing it would require a trip to the artisan who specializes in such implements. Better to care for it properly than to risk such an inconvenience. As you clean, you listen to the sounds of the house around you. Your master's footsteps have moved to his study, where you will spend part of the morning reviewing correspondence and documents. From the kitchen comes the soft clatter of meal preparation. Outside, you can hear Yuki working in the garden, probably weeding the paths or trimming plants that have grown beyond their proper boundaries. The tea implements cleaned and properly stored, you turn your attention to the room itself. The table must be wiped clean of any traces of tea powder or water drops. The cushion must be straightened and positioned for the next time it will be needed. The tatami mats must be checked for any stains or damage that might have occurred during the morning's activities. These tasks flow into each other seamlessly, each one leading naturally to the next. This is the rhythm of service, a continuous cycle of preparation, performance, and cleaning that begins again before it has truly ended. There is no moment of completion in such work, only the satisfaction of knowing that each task has been performed as well as possible. From your master's study comes the sound of papers being arranged, the soft rustle of documents being examined and organized. You know that soon he will require fresh ink for his writing brush, or perhaps tea to accompany his reading. Your ears are attuned to these needs, trained to recognize the subtle signs that indicate when your services will be required. But for now, there is a brief lull in the immediate demands of service. You use this time to inspect the main hall more thoroughly, looking for any maintenance issues that might need attention. A loose corner of tatami matting, a smudge on one of the paper screens, a flower arrangement that has begun to wilt and will need refreshing. The flower arrangement sits in an alcove specifically designed for such displays. Today it consists of 3 stems of autumn chrysanthemums, their bronze petals just beginning to show signs of age. The arrangement was created yesterday by the head servant, who has studied the art of flower arrangement for many years. But even the most skillful arrangement cannot halt the natural cycle of blooming and fading. You make a mental note to mention the flower's condition to the head servant when you next encounter her. Fresh flowers will need to be cut from the garden, and the old arrangement will need to be disposed of properly. Such cycles of renewal are constant in household management, requiring attention but not urgency. The sound of approaching footsteps draws your attention back to immediate concerns. Not your master's walk, but the lighter, quicker pace of another servant. Probably Yuki, coming to consult about some aspect of the morning's work. You position yourself appropriately and wait for her arrival. She appears in the doorway, her face slightly flushed from her work in the garden. Her kimono shows the slight dampness that comes from working among dew-covered plants, and her hands bear the faint stains that mark her as someone who works with growing things. She bows briefly in greeting, then speaks in the low tones that are always used within the house. The consultation is brief but important. The master will be receiving a visitor later in the morning, someone of sufficient importance to require special preparations. Additional cleaning will be needed in the formal reception room. The guest's horse will need to be attended to. Refreshments will need to be prepared and served with particular care. Such news changes the rhythm of the entire day. What had been planned as a routine morning of regular maintenance tasks now becomes something more complex and demanding. You acknowledge the information with a bow and begin to reorganize your priorities accordingly. The formal reception room has not been used for several days, which means it will require thorough attention. You gather fresh cleaning supplies and make your way to the room, which occupies a prominent position in the house's layout. The room is larger than the main hall where morning tea is served, and its appointments reflect its importance in the household's social functions. The tatami mats here are of higher quality than those in other parts of the house, their weave tighter and more uniform. The wooden trim around the room's edges has been polished to a higher shine, and the paper screens are newer and more pristine. Even the ceiling seems higher, creating a sense of space and formality that befits important meetings. But with higher status comes higher expectations. Every surface in this room must be absolutely perfect, every detail attended to with the utmost care. A speck of dust that might be acceptable in a more casual space would be a serious failing here. You begin your work with the knowledge that any imperfection might reflect poorly not just on your abilities but on the entire household's reputation. The cleaning process here is more elaborate than your morning routine in the main hall. Each tatami mat must be examined individually, cleaned with particular care, and positioned with absolute precision. The wooden trim requires special attention, polished with a different cloth and a more refined cleaning solution. Even the paper screens must be inspected for any small tears or stains that might have appeared since their last use. As you work, you become aware of activity elsewhere in the house. The kitchen staff is clearly preparing for the additional demands of entertaining a guest. You can hear the sounds of more elaborate cooking, the preparation of dishes that require greater skill and time than the usual daily meals. The rhythm of work throughout the house has shifted, becoming more intense and focused. Your cleaning cloth moves across the wooden trim in long, steady strokes. The wood responds to this attention, developing the deep luster that speaks of proper care. This trim was installed by master craftsmen, selected for its beauty as well as its durability. The grain of the wood tells the story of the tree from which it came. The growing seasons recorded in the alternating bands of light and dark wood. The work is meditative in its repetitiveness, but it also requires constant attention to detail. Each section of trim presents its own challenges, its own particular grain patterns and surface characteristics. What works perfectly for one section might be inadequate for another. You have learned to read these differences, to adjust your technique accordingly. From somewhere in the house comes the sound of your master's voice, speaking in the low, serious tones he uses for important matters. Probably discussing the day's schedule with the head servant, ensuring that all preparations for the visitor's arrival are properly coordinated. The sound reminds you of the importance of your current task and the need for absolute perfection in its execution. The formal tea implements for this room are stored in a special cabinet, protected from dust and damage by silk wrappings. These pieces are more elaborate than those used for daily tea service, their craftsmanship reflecting the importance of the occasions for which they are reserved. You remove them carefully, unwrapping each piece with the reverence due to objects of such beauty and significance. The tea bowl for formal occasions is a work of art in itself, its ceramic surface showing the subtle irregularities that mark it as the product of a master potter's hands. The glaze has the depth and complexity that can only be achieved through techniques passed down through generations of craftsmen. To hold such a piece is to connect with a tradition that extends far beyond this single household. Each implement must be inspected carefully and cleaned to absolute perfection. Even though they were properly cleaned after their last use, they must be prepared anew for today's service. The inspection process reveals the subtle signs of age and use that mark these pieces as treasured tools rather than mere display objects. Small chips in the glaze that speak of careful use over many years. Slight discolorations that indicate the absorption of countless tea preparations. The arrangement of these implements on the formal tea table requires even greater precision than the daily morning service. Each piece must be positioned not just functionally but aesthetically, creating a composition that is pleasing to the eye while remaining completely practical for tea preparation. The spacing between objects, the angles at which they are positioned, the relationship between the implements and the table's natural lines, all must be considered and perfected. As you work, you find yourself thinking about the visitor who will soon arrive. You know nothing about this person except that they are important enough to warrant the formal reception room and the special preparations now underway throughout the house. Perhaps a fellow samurai, or a government official, or a merchant of particular prominence. The identity matters less than the level of respect that must be shown through perfect service. The morning light in this room is different from that in the main hall, filtered through screens that face a different direction and modified by the room's more formal proportions. The light seems more serious here, more deliberate in its effects. It highlights the careful craftsmanship of the room's appointments while creating subtle shadows that add depth and interest to the space. You step back to assess your work so far. The room is beginning to approach the standard required for formal reception. The surfaces gleam in the filtered light, the implements are arranged with mathematical precision, and every detail reflects the care that has been invested in its preparation. But there is still more work to be done, more refinements to be made before the room will be truly ready. The flowers for this room will need to be specially selected and arranged. Not the simple chrysanthemums that grace the main hall, but something more elaborate and significant. You make another mental note to consult with the head servant about this requirement. The flower arrangement for a formal reception is not something that can be left to chance or prepared without careful consideration. From the direction of the kitchen comes the aroma of more elaborate cooking, the sense of ingredients that are reserved for special occasions. The meal that will be served to the visitor is clearly being prepared with exceptional care, involving dishes that require hours of preparation and the finest ingredients available to the household. The kitchen staff must be working with the same intensity and attention to detail that you are bringing to your own tasks. The sound of horses' hooves in the distance reaches your ears faintly through the screens. Not the visitor's arrival, which is still some time away, but perhaps someone bringing news or supplies for the day's preparations. The rhythm of hoof beats is steady and unhurried, suggesting a routine delivery rather than an urgent message. You return your attention to the immediate task, checking each element of the room's preparation one more time. The tatami mats lie perfectly flat, their edges aligned with geometric precision. The wooden trim gleams with the depth that comes only from careful polishing. The tea implements occupy their designated positions with the accuracy of a formal ceremony. But perfection in such matters is not a destination but a process, requiring constant attention and refinement. You notice a small smudge on one section of trim that you had previously missed. Your cloth removes it easily, but the discovery reminds you that vigilance must be constant, that the eye must continue to search for imperfections even when the work seems complete. The formal reception room is nearly ready, but there are still details that require attention. The cushions for the guest and your master must be positioned with absolute precision, their placement reflecting not just comfort but the proper relationship between host and visitor. The small table that will hold documents or gifts must be cleaned and positioned appropriately. Even the arrangement of shadows and light must be considered, ensuring that neither participant in the meeting will be disadvantaged by harsh glare or excessive shade. These considerations might seem minor to someone unfamiliar with the requirements of formal hospitality, but you have learned that such details can make the difference between success and failure in important social interactions. A guest who is made uncomfortable by poor lighting or improper seating arrangements may form negative impressions that extend far beyond the immediate meeting. As you make these final adjustments, you become aware that the morning is progressing rapidly toward the time of the visitor's arrival. The sounds from the kitchen suggest that meal preparation is reaching its crucial stages. Footsteps move through the house with increased frequency and purpose. The entire household is approaching the moment when all preparations must be complete and ready for inspection. You take one final survey of the formal reception room, your eyes moving systematically across every surface and detail. The room now meets the highest standards of preparation, ready to reflect honor on the household and its master. Your part in the morning's preparations is complete, but the day's work is far from over. As you gather your cleaning supplies and prepare to leave the room, you pause for a moment to appreciate the transformation your work has accomplished. What had been simply a well-maintained room has become something more refined and purposeful, a space worthy of important interactions and significant decisions. The satisfaction of such achievement is quiet but real, a small reward for the care and attention invested in the work. The corridor outside the formal reception room shows signs of the increased activity throughout the house. Other servants move with quick, purposeful steps, carrying supplies or implements needed for their own tasks. Everyone understands the importance of the morning's preparations and the need for everything to be perfect when the visitor arrives. You return your cleaning supplies to their designated storage area, taking the same care in their proper placement that you brought to their use. The cloth is hung in its assigned position, clean and ready for the next task. The cleaning solutions are returned to their labeled containers. The bucket is emptied and placed in its designated corner. Even the conclusion of work must be performed with attention to proper procedure. From your master's study comes the sound of papers being organized, probably the documents that will be reviewed or exchanged during the morning's meeting. The rustle of paper is punctuated occasionally by the soft scrape of a writing brush being prepared or the gentle tap of an inkstone being used. These sounds speak of intellectual work, of the kind of activities that give meaning and purpose to all the physical preparations being made throughout the house. The head servant appears in the corridor, moving with the brisk efficiency that marks her as someone accustomed to coordinating complex household operations. She nods acknowledgement as you approach, her expression serious but not unfriendly. The flower arrangements, she confirms, will be her personal responsibility. Your work in the formal reception room has been noted and approved. Such recognition is precious in the hierarchy of household service. The head servant's approval indicates not just that your work has met the required standards, but that it has contributed appropriately to the overall success of the morning's preparations. In a world where individual contributions can easily be overlooked, such acknowledgement carries special significance. But there is no time for dwelling on such satisfactions. Already, new tasks are emerging as the morning progresses toward the crucial moment of the visitor's arrival. Your master will need assistance in selecting and preparing his formal clothing for the meeting. The entrance to the house will require final inspection and preparation. 1,000 small details must be attended to in the remaining time. The selection of your master's clothing for a formal meeting involves considerations that extend far beyond simple practicality. The choice of fabric, color, and style must reflect not only the importance of the occasion but also the specific relationship between your master and his visitor. Too elaborate a costume might suggest arrogance or ostentation. Too simple an outfit might indicate lack of respect for the guest's status. You make your way to your master's private quarters, where his clothing is stored in specially designed cabinets that protect the garments from dust, moisture, and insects. Each piece of clothing represents a significant investment, not just in terms of money but in the time and skill of the craftsman who created it. The silk has been woven by masters of their trade, the dyeing accomplished through techniques that require years to perfect, the sewing executed with a precision that is itself an art form. The formal kimono hangs from a specially designed stand, its fabric falling in the precise folds that maintain the garment's shape and prevent wrinkles. The silk is deep blue, almost black, with a subtle pattern that reveals itself only in certain lights. The weave is so fine that the fabric seems to glow with its own inner light, and the hand that touches it encounters a smoothness that speaks of extraordinary quality. Handling such a garment requires particular care and technique. Your hands must be completely clean, your movements slow and deliberate to avoid any stress on the delicate fabric. You lift the kimono with both hands, supporting its weight evenly to prevent strain on any single point. The fabric seems almost alive in your hands, responsive to every movement and shift in position. The undergarments must be selected with equal care, chosen not just for comfort but for their effect on the outer garment's appearance. The layers must work together to create the proper silhouette, the correct drape of fabric, and the appropriate sense of formality. Each layer contributes to the final effect, and a poor choice at any level can compromise the entire ensemble. As you work, you can hear your master moving about his private quarters, probably performing his own preparations for the morning's meeting. The sound of water being poured suggests that he is attending to his personal grooming, the careful washing and arrangement that precedes the donning of formal attire. You arrange the selected garments in the order they will be worn, each piece positioned so that it can be taken up smoothly when needed. The process of formal dressing follows a precise sequence, and any disruption of that order can create delays or complications that reflect poorly on the household's efficiency. The obi, the wide silk sash that will secure the kimono, requires special attention. Its fabric is even more delicate than that of the kimono itself, woven with metallic threads that catch and reflect light in subtle ways. The obi must be folded properly to avoid creases, positioned correctly to facilitate the complex tying process, and handled with a delicacy that prevents any damage to its intricate surface. From elsewhere in the house comes the sound of the final preparations being completed. The kitchen staff is putting finishing touches on the meal that will be served. The entrance area is receiving its final cleaning and inspection. The stable area is being prepared for the visitor's horse. Every aspect of the household is converging toward the moment of arrival. Your master emerges from his washing area, his hair arranged in the formal style appropriate for important meetings. His face bears the composed expression that he maintains during significant encounters, a mask of calm dignity that conceals whatever thoughts or concerns might occupy his mind. He nods acknowledgement of your presence and the preparations you have made. The process of formal dressing is a ritual in itself, performed with the same precision and attention to detail that characterizes all aspects of household ceremony. You assist with each garment in turn, ensuring that every fold falls correctly, every tie is secure, every detail contributes to the overall effect of dignified formality. The kimono settles around your master's shoulders like water finding its level, the fabric conforming to his body while maintaining its own structural integrity. The pattern in the silk becomes visible as the light catches it, revealing the subtle artistry that went into its creation. This is clothing as art, designed not just to cover the body but to express status, taste, and respect for tradition. The obi requires particular skill to tie properly. Its wide surface must be wrapped around your master's waist with precisely the right tension, tight enough to provide support but not so tight as to restrict movement or breathing. The knot at the back must be both secure and aesthetically pleasing, its loops and folds creating a pattern that complements the kimono's design. As the dressing process nears completion, you can hear the sound of horses approaching the house. Not just one set of hoofbeats now, but several, suggesting that the visitor is traveling with appropriate retinue. The rhythm of the horse's movement indicates that they are approaching at a formal pace, neither rushed nor casual, but measured and deliberate as befits an important arrival. Your master's transformation is complete. The man who emerged from his washing area has become something more formal and ceremonial, his appearance now reflecting not just his personal dignity but the honor of his entire household. The clothing you have helped him don serves as a kind of armor, protecting him with propriety and tradition as surely as steel might protect him in battle. He moves to the small mirror that hangs in his quarters, examining his reflection with the critical eye of someone who understands that every detail of his appearance will be scrutinized and interpreted. A loose fold of fabric, an improperly positioned ornament, a hair out of place, any of these small imperfections could communicate lack of respect or attention to detail. The approaching hoofbeats grow louder and more distinct. You can now distinguish individual horses, probably 3 or 4 animals moving in formation. The sound echoes off the walls of the compound, creating a rhythmic announcement of the visitor's imminent arrival. Throughout the house, you can sense the heightened attention that comes with such moments, the collective holding of breath as final preparations are completed. Your master adjusts a small detail of his costume, smoothing a fold that was already perfectly positioned. The gesture speaks more of habit than necessity, the kind of automatic check that comes from years of formal occasions. His hands move with the practiced grace of someone accustomed to such clothing, comfortable within the constraints of ceremonial dress. From the entrance area of the house comes the sound of final preparations. Probably the head servant positioning herself to greet the visitor, ensuring that the first impression will be one of proper welcome and respect. The entrance must be perfect now, every surface clean, every detail in its proper place, ready to receive someone whose opinion of the household might have significant consequences. The hoofbeats slow and change in character as the horses enter the compound proper. The sound becomes more muffled as the animals move from the hard-packed earth of the road to the softer ground of the courtyard. You can hear voices now, the low tones of men conducting the business of arrival, the careful courtesy that marks interactions between people of rank. Your master takes one final look at his reflection, nods satisfaction with what he sees, and moves toward the door of his quarters. His walk has changed with his costume, becoming more measured and formal, each step calculated to maintain the dignity of his appearance. The transformation from private individual to public figure is complete. You bow as he passes, acknowledging not just his person but his role in the morning's ceremony. Your part in his preparation is finished, but your duties for the day continue in other directions. The visitor's horse will need attention, the formal reception room will require final inspection, and a dozen other details will demand your attention. The sounds from the entrance area indicate that the formal greeting process has begun. Voices exchange the ritual courtesies that mark such occasions, each phrase carefully chosen to convey the appropriate level of respect and welcome. These words have been refined over generations, their meanings extending far beyond their literal content to encompass entire systems of social relationship and obligation. You make your way toward the stable area, where the visitor's horses will require care and attention. The animals have traveled some distance, and their needs must be attended to with the same precision that characterizes all aspects of household hospitality. Water, fodder, grooming, and shelter must all be provided according to the highest standards. The stable area shows signs of the morning's preparations. Fresh straw has been spread in the stalls, water containers have been filled and checked, and grooming implements have been cleaned and arranged for immediate use. The other servants assigned to this duty have clearly understood the importance of making a good impression on the visitor's retainers. The horses enter the courtyard with the measured pace of well-trained animals accustomed to formal occasions. Their riders maintain perfect posture, their own clothing and equipment reflecting the status of their master. The lead horse is particularly impressive, its coat gleaming with health and careful grooming, its tack polished to a mirror finish. Dismounting is accomplished with the same ceremony that has characterized the entire arrival. Each movement is deliberate and controlled, designed to maintain dignity while accomplishing the practical business of arrival. The riders handle their mounts with the casual expertise that comes from years of partnership between human and animal. You approach the horses with the quiet confidence that comes from extensive experience with such animals. Your movements are slow and deliberate, designed to avoid startling creatures that might be nervous from travel or unfamiliar surroundings. Your hands are steady as you take the reins, your voice soft and reassuring as you speak to the animals. The lead horse is indeed magnificent, its breeding evident in every line of its body. The animal's eyes are intelligent and alert, taking in its new surroundings with the careful attention of a creature that has learned to adapt quickly to changing circumstances. Its coat shows the deep luster that comes from excellent nutrition and daily grooming. Leading the horses to their assigned stalls requires careful attention to their individual needs and temperaments. Some animals are naturally gregarious and prefer to be stabled near their companions. Others are more solitary and require privacy to feel secure. Reading these preferences and accommodating them appropriately is part of the skill required for proper horse care. As you work, you can hear the sounds of the formal meeting beginning in the reception room you prepared earlier. Voices speak in the measured tones reserved for important business, each participant careful to maintain the proper level of formality and respect. The ceremony of such meetings follows patterns as precise as those governing horse care or tea preparation. The horses settle into their stalls with the relief of travelers reaching comfortable accommodations. Their breathing gradually slows from the elevated rate of travel to the calmer rhythm of rest. Steam rises from their coats in the cool morning air, creating small clouds that dissipate quickly in the gentle breeze moving through the stable. Water is the first priority for travel-weary animals. You fill the containers with fresh water from the well, ensuring that the temperature is appropriate and the quality is the best available. The horses drink deeply, their long necks extending gratefully toward the life-giving liquid. The sound of their drinking is rhythmic and satisfying, speaking of needs met and comfort provided. Grooming comes next, the careful process of removing the dust and sweat of travel while inspecting the animals for any signs of injury or distress. Your hands move methodically over each horse's body, the currycomb following the natural patterns of hair growth, the brush smoothing and polishing the coat to its natural luster. The work is meditative in its repetitiveness, requiring attention but not intense concentration. Your hands know the proper techniques, the right amount of pressure to apply, the areas that require special care. The horses respond to this attention with the quiet satisfaction of creatures receiving proper care, their bodies relaxing under your ministrations. From the direction of the house comes the faint sound of tea being prepared, probably the formal service that will accompany the morning's business meeting. The ritual you practiced in the main hall this morning is being repeated now in the formal reception room, but with implements of even greater refinement and ceremony befitting the importance of the occasion. The horse's tack requires attention as well. Saddles, bridles, and other equipment must be cleaned and properly stored, ready for the return journey that will eventually come. The leather shows the signs of quality craftsmanship and careful maintenance, its surface polished to a deep glow that speaks of pride in proper equipment. Each piece of tack tells a story of the journey just completed and the care invested in its preparation. The stirrups show slight wear patterns that reveal the rider's habits and preferences. The bridle leather has been shaped by use into the perfect fit for its particular horse. These are not merely functional items but the products of ongoing relationships between riders, horses, and equipment. As you work, you find yourself thinking about the meeting taking place in the house. The business being conducted there will have implications that extend far beyond this single morning, affecting relationships and obligations that may persist for years. Your role in supporting such important activities is indirect but essential, creating the conditions that allow significant work to proceed without distraction. The stable work is nearly complete. The horses are comfortable, their immediate needs met, their equipment properly cared for. The animals show the contentment that comes from good treatment, their heads lowered peacefully, their breathing slow and regular. They will rest here while their master conducts his business, then be ready for the return journey when the time comes. You make one final inspection of the stable area, ensuring that everything is properly arranged and that the animals have everything they need. Water containers are full, hay racks are supplied with fresh fodder, and the stalls are clean and comfortable. The impression created by this care will reflect on the entire household's reputation for hospitality. The morning sun has grown stronger while you worked, and the stable area is now filled with the gentle warmth that makes such spaces pleasant for both animals and humans. Dust motes dance in the shafts of sunlight that penetrate the structure, creating an almost magical atmosphere that transforms mundane work into something more meaningful. From the house comes the sound of the formal meal being served, the soft clatter of dishes and implements that accompanies such occasions. The kitchen staff's morning of preparation is reaching its culmination, their skills being tested in the most demanding circumstances possible. The success of the meal will contribute significantly to the overall impression created by the household's hospitality. Your immediate duties in the stable are complete, but the morning's work continues in other areas. The formal reception room will need to be maintained throughout the meeting, ready to respond to any needs that might arise. Other areas of the house will require attention, ensuring that every aspect of the household continues to function smoothly despite the disruption of the formal visit. You make your way back toward the main house, your footsteps soft on the stone path that connects the stable area to the main structure. The path has been swept clean this morning, probably by Yuki in the early hours before dawn, and it shows the careful attention to detail that characterizes all aspects of household maintenance. The kitchen shows signs of the intense activity that has characterized the morning's meal preparation. Steam rises from various cooking vessels, the air is thick with the aromas of elaborate dishes, and the staff moves with the focused intensity that comes from working under pressure. Every face shows the concentration required to execute complex recipes under demanding circumstances. The head cook nods acknowledgement as you pass through the kitchen area. Her face shows the strain of the morning's work but also the satisfaction that comes from meeting extraordinary challenges successfully. The dishes being prepared are clearly of the highest quality, worthy of the important guest they are intended to honor. In the corridor leading to the formal reception room, you encounter another servant carrying a tray of tea implements. The pieces are even more elaborate than those you prepared earlier, their surfaces gleaming with the perfection that comes from masterful craftsmanship and careful maintenance. The servant moves with the measured pace that prevents any jarring that might disturb the precise arrangement of the implements. The sounds from the formal reception room indicate that the meeting is proceeding smoothly. Voices speak in measured tones, each participant careful to maintain the proper level of formality and respect. Occasionally, there is a pause for tea service or the examination of documents, but the overall rhythm suggests productive discussion rather than mere ceremony. You position yourself in the corridor outside the reception room, ready to respond to any needs that might arise but remaining unobtrusive enough to avoid interfering with the important business being conducted. This kind of attentive waiting is an art in itself, requiring the ability to remain alert and ready while avoiding any appearance of impatience or distraction. The formal reception room door remains closed, but you can sense the atmosphere within through the subtle sounds that penetrate the sliding panels. The rustle of silk as participants adjust their positions. The soft scrape of brushes against paper as notes are taken or documents are signed. The gentle clink of tea implements as service is provided. Each sound tells part of the story of the meeting's progress. From time to time, you hear your master's voice, recognizable despite the formal tones he maintains during such occasions. His words are measured and careful, each phrase chosen to convey precisely the meaning intended. This is the voice of authority and responsibility, shaped by years of experience in conducting important business. The visitor's voice, when it can be distinguished, carries similar qualities of authority and careful consideration. The tone suggests someone accustomed to being heard and respected, comfortable with the weight of significant decisions. The interplay between the two voices creates a rhythm of discussion that speaks of serious matters being addressed with appropriate gravity. Time passes slowly in such circumstances. The importance of the meeting creates a sense of suspended animation in the rest of the household, as if all normal activities must pause until the crucial business is completed. You find yourself listening intently to every sound, trying to gauge the progress and success of the discussions taking place behind the closed door. The sound of papers being shuffled suggests that documents are being exchanged or reviewed. Perhaps contracts are being signed, or maps are being consulted, or correspondence is being shared. These sounds carry weight beyond their immediate significance, representing the kind of agreements and understandings that shape the larger world beyond this single household. A servant emerges from the reception room, moving with the quiet efficiency that marks all such service. The brief opening of the door allows a glimpse into the formal atmosphere within. The sight of two figures seated in perfect posture, surrounded by the implements of ceremony and business. The door closes again before more details can be observed. The servant carries a tray of used tea implements, evidence that the formal service has been completed successfully. The pieces show no signs of mishap or error, suggesting that the service met the high standards required for such occasions. The servant's expression shows the quiet satisfaction that comes from duties performed flawlessly under demanding circumstances. More time passes in this state of attentive waiting. The sounds from the reception room continue to suggest productive discussion, but there are no obvious signs that the meeting is approaching its conclusion. Such gatherings often continue for hours, their participants willing to invest whatever time is necessary to reach proper understanding and agreement. The morning light filtering through the corridor screens has grown stronger and more direct as the sun climbs toward its midday position. The geometric patterns cast by the screens shift slowly across the floor, creating a visual record of time's passage that is both beautiful and somehow melancholy in its inexorable movement. From the kitchen comes the sound of cleaning and reorganization, the staff beginning to restore order after the intensive morning of preparation and service. The work continues even as the formal meal is being consumed, ensuring that the household's regular routines can resume once the special demands of the visit have been met. You find yourself thinking about the layers of preparation and service that have gone into this morning's activities. The cleaning and polishing, the clothing preparation, the horse care, the meal preparation, the formal service, all of these elements working together to create the conditions for important business to be conducted successfully. Your individual contribution is small but essential, part of a larger symphony of coordinated effort. The sound of movement within the reception room suggests that the meeting may be entering a new phase. Perhaps documents have been signed, or agreements have been reached, or new topics are being introduced for discussion. The rhythm of voices has changed slightly, becoming more animated while maintaining the same level of formal courtesy. Another servant passes through the corridor, carrying what appears to be additional documents or writing materials. The meeting clearly involves complex matters requiring extensive documentation and careful record keeping. The papers being used are of the highest quality, their surfaces smooth and white, worthy of recording important agreements and understandings. The stable area remains quiet, the visitors' horses resting comfortably in their stalls. Their patient waiting mirrors your own, both servants and animals maintaining readiness for whatever demands might arise while remaining calm and unobtrusive in the meantime. There is dignity in such patient service, a quiet nobility that requires no recognition or reward beyond the satisfaction of duty properly performed. From the garden comes the sound of normal maintenance activities resuming. Yuki has apparently completed her special preparations for the morning's visit and has returned to the regular cycle of plant care and path maintenance that keeps the outdoor areas of the household in proper condition. The sound of her rake against gravel creates a steady rhythm that speaks of ongoing attention to detail. The formal reception room door opens again, and this time your master emerges briefly to consult with the head servant about some aspect of the proceedings. His face shows the concentration that comes from engaging with complex matters, but there are no signs of stress or concern. The discussion appears to be proceeding satisfactorily. The consultation is brief, conducted in the low tones that prevent any interference with the important business continuing inside the reception room. The head servant nods understanding and moves quickly to address whatever requirement has been identified. The door closes again, and the meeting resumes its measured pace. You remain in position, ready to respond to any needs that might arise. The corridor has become a kind of staging area for the various forms of support that the meeting might require. Other servants pass through periodically, carrying implements or messages or supplies, each one moving with the quiet efficiency that marks professional service. The sounds from the reception room suggest that a meal is being consumed, probably the elaborate dishes that the kitchen staff prepared with such care. The soft sounds of eating are intermixed with continued conversation, indicating that the business discussion continues even as the formal hospitality is being enjoyed. Such multitasking requires considerable skill and attention from all participants. The quality of light in the corridor continues to change as the morning progresses toward midday. The screens filter the increasingly direct sunlight, creating patterns that shift and evolve with the sun's movement. These changes mark the passage of time more clearly than any mechanical timepiece, connecting the indoor activities to the larger rhythms of the natural world. From somewhere in the house comes the sound of regular cleaning activities resuming. The special preparations for the morning's visit are complete, and the household is beginning to return to its normal patterns of maintenance and care. The ability to maintain regular standards while also meeting extraordinary demands is one of the marks of a well-managed household. The meeting in the reception room shows no signs of concluding soon. The voices continue their measured discussion, occasionally punctuated by the sounds of documents being handled or tea being served. Such gatherings often continue well into the afternoon, their participants willing to invest whatever time is necessary to reach proper conclusions. You shift your position slightly to relieve the tension that comes from prolonged waiting. The movement is small and carefully controlled, designed to maintain your readiness while addressing the physical demands of extended service. Such adjustments are part of the skill required for professional attendance, maintaining both comfort and alertness over long periods. The stable area remains peaceful, the horses settled into the comfortable routine of rest and feeding. Their patient acceptance of the circumstances mirrors the attitude required for all forms of service, the willingness to wait and respond as needed without complaint or restlessness. There is wisdom in such acceptance, a recognition that not all time can be filled with obvious activity. Another servant emerges from the reception room, this time carrying what appears to be writing materials that have been used and are now being returned to storage. The brief glimpse into the room reveals that both participants remain engaged in serious discussion, their postures indicating continued attention to important matters. The servant moves with the same quiet efficiency that characterizes all such service, understanding that even these mundane tasks contribute to the overall success of the morning's activities. The proper handling of materials, the maintenance of order, the anticipation of needs, all of these elements work together to create the conditions for productive discussion. The sound of voices from the reception room takes on a slightly different quality, suggesting that the discussion may be entering its concluding phases. The tone remains formal and respectful, but there is a sense of summarization, of points being confirmed and agreements being finalized. After hours of detailed discussion, important matters may finally be approaching resolution. You remain alert for any signs that your services might be required. The conclusion of such meetings often involves practical matters that require servant attention, from the preparation of horses for departure to the proper handling of documents and gifts that may have been exchanged. The end of formal proceedings can be as demanding as their beginning. The light in the corridor has reached its midday intensity, creating sharp contrasts between the illuminated areas and the shadows cast by the screens. The geometric patterns on the floor have reached their smallest and most defined state, marking the sun's approach to its highest point. The morning's activities are drawing toward their natural conclusion. From the kitchen comes the sound of meal cleanup proceeding efficiently. The elaborate dishes that were prepared for the formal service are being properly cleaned and returned to storage, while the kitchen area is being restored to its normal state of organization. The staff works with the same attention to detail that characterized their morning preparations. The reception room door opens once more, and this time both your master and the visitor emerge together. Their faces show the satisfaction that comes from productive discussion and successful conclusion of important business. The formal meeting has clearly achieved its intended purposes, and both participants appear pleased with the results. The visitor's departure preparations begin with the same ceremony that marked his arrival. Formal courtesies are exchanged, expressing mutual respect and satisfaction with the morning's proceedings. Every gesture and word is carefully chosen to reinforce the positive impressions created during the meeting itself. You move quickly toward the stable area to prepare the horses for departure. The animals have rested well during the long meeting and are now ready for the return journey. Their coats still show the glossy condition that comes from proper care, and their eyes are alert and interested in the renewed activity around them. The process of preparing horses for departure requires the same attention to detail that characterized their initial care. Tack must be properly fitted and secured, water containers must be filled for the journey, and the animals must be given final grooming to ensure they reflect well on the hospitality they have received. The lead horse shows particular eagerness for the journey, its ears pricked forward with interest and its movements showing the energy that comes from good rest and feeding. The animal's condition will serve as a testament to the quality of care provided by the household, an important element in the overall impression created by the visit. As you work, you can hear the final courtesies being exchanged between your master and his visitor. The conversation continues to maintain the formal tone that has characterized the entire visit, but there is also a warmth that suggests genuine mutual respect and successful business relationship. The visitor's retainers appear to assist with the departure preparations, their movements showing the same professional efficiency that marked their arrival. These men understand the importance of proper ceremony in both the beginning and ending of important visits, and they perform their duties with the attention to detail that reflects their master's status. The horses are ready, their tack properly fitted and their condition reflecting the excellent care they have received. The animals stand quietly but alertly, sensing the approaching departure and preparing themselves for the journey ahead. Their patience during the long wait has been rewarded with comfort and proper attention. The visitor emerges from the house for the final time, his appearance showing no signs of the long morning of discussion and negotiation. His clothing remains perfectly arranged, his demeanor continues to project dignity and authority, and his expression suggests satisfaction with the results of his visit. The mounting process is accomplished with the same ceremony that has characterized every aspect of the visit. Each movement is deliberate and controlled, designed to maintain dignity while accomplishing the practical business of departure. The horses respond to their riders with the quiet competence that marks well-trained animals and experienced horsemen. Final courtesies are exchanged from horseback, the elevated position lending additional formality to the proceedings. Words of thanks and mutual respect are spoken, reinforcing the positive relationships that have been established or strengthened during the morning's activities. The success of the visit is evident in the satisfaction expressed by both parties. The departure begins with the same measured pace that characterized the arrival. The horses move at a formal walk, their riders maintaining perfect posture as they make their way through the compound toward the main road. The rhythm of hoofbeats creates a dignified cadence that gradually fades as the party moves away from the house. You watch until the visitors disappear from view, then begin the process of cleaning and organizing the stable area. The stalls must be cleaned, the remaining fodder must be properly stored, and the area must be restored to its normal state of readiness. Even the conclusion of service requires attention to proper procedure and detail. The work is routine now, after the extraordinary demands of the morning's preparations and service. Your hands know the proper techniques, your movements follow established patterns, and your mind can relax slightly from the intense focus that formal occasions require. There is satisfaction in returning to normal routines after successfully meeting special challenges. From the house comes the sound of similar restoration activities. The formal reception room is being cleaned and reorganized, the special implements are being properly stored, and the household is returning to its regular patterns of activity. The morning's disruption has been absorbed successfully, leaving only positive memories and the satisfaction of duties well performed. Your master appears in the stable area, his formal clothing now replaced by more casual attire appropriate for the remainder of the day's activities. His face shows the relaxation that comes after successful completion of important business, and his manner suggests satisfaction with the morning's results. He inspects the stable area briefly, nodding approval at the cleanliness and organization that have been maintained throughout the morning's activities. Such recognition is precious, representing acknowledgement not just of specific tasks completed but of the overall standard of service that has been provided. The inspection complete, your master returns to the house, probably to spend time reviewing the agreements reached during the morning's meeting or planning the next steps that will follow from the discussions. The business conducted today will have implications that extend far beyond this single morning, affecting relationships and activities for months or years to come. You complete the stable cleaning with the same attention to detail that has characterized all of your morning's work. Each surface is properly cleaned, each implement is returned to its designated place, and the area is left in perfect condition for whatever future needs might arise. The cyclical nature of such work requires that every ending be also a beginning. The sun has reached its midday position, casting short shadows and filling the stable area with warm, direct light. The morning's coolness has given way to the gentle warmth of early autumn, creating the kind of comfortable working conditions that make physical labor pleasant rather than burdensome. The morning's extraordinary activities are now history, but the memory of their successful completion brings quiet satisfaction. Every challenge was met appropriately, every detail attended to properly, and every aspect of the household's reputation was maintained or enhanced. Such success is the product of careful preparation, skilled execution, and dedicated attention to duty. As you return to the house, you pass through areas that still show signs of the morning's special preparations. The entrance area retains its perfect cleanliness. The corridors show the enhanced level of attention that formal occasions require, and the kitchen area, while returning to normal operations, still reflects the extraordinary efforts that were invested in the morning's meal preparation. The formal reception room stands empty now, its perfect arrangements waiting for the next occasion that will call them into service. The tatami mats retain their flawless alignment, the wooden trim continues to gleam with careful polishing, and the tea implements rest in their designated positions, ready for future use. The room has returned to waiting, but it waits with the confidence of space that has proven itself worthy of important occasions. Your immediate duties are complete, but the day's work continues in other directions. The regular routines that were temporarily set aside for the morning's special requirements must now be resumed. Floors need daily cleaning, meals need preparation, clothing needs maintenance, and the countless small tasks that keep a household functioning smoothly demand their share of attention. You make your way to the servants' quarters to change from the clothing that bears the traces of the morning's work. The garments you have worn carry the scents and marks of stable work, cleaning activities, and the intense focus that formal occasions require. Fresh clothing will allow you to approach the afternoon's tasks with renewed energy and appropriate appearance. The servants' quarters are quiet now, the other members of the household staff dispersed to their various duties throughout the compound. The sleeping mats that were occupied during the brief rest periods of the early morning now lie empty, waiting for the evening hours when they will once again provide refuge from the demands of service. You fold your used clothing carefully, ensuring that it is properly arranged for washing and maintenance. Even work clothes deserve respectful treatment, and the habits of careful handling extend to every aspect of household management. The kimono you don for the afternoon's work is clean and properly maintained, its condition reflecting the standards that govern all aspects of your appearance. From the kitchen comes the aroma of the midday meal being prepared, simpler fare than the elaborate dishes that graced the morning's formal service but prepared with the same attention to quality and presentation. The rhythm of meal preparation has returned to its normal patterns, the staff working with practiced efficiency to meet the household's regular needs. The main hall where you began your day with floor cleaning now serves as a casual dining area for the household's regular meals. The surfaces you polished in the pre-dawn darkness now gleam in the midday light, their condition a testament to the care invested in their maintenance. The room serves different functions throughout the day, but it maintains its standards of cleanliness and organization regardless of its immediate use. You kneel at the low table where your own meal will be served, your posture reflecting the same attention to proper form that characterizes all aspects of household life. Even casual meals are consumed with awareness of appropriate behavior and respect for the food that has been prepared with care and skill. The meal is simple but nourishing, consisting of rice, pickled vegetables, and a clear soup made from ingredients grown in the household's own garden. The flavors are clean and fresh, reflecting the quality of the ingredients and the skill of their preparation. Each bite is consumed mindfully, with appreciation for the work that brought the food from garden to table. As you eat, you listen to the quiet conversation of the other servants, their voices sharing information about the morning's activities and the afternoon's planned tasks. The discussion is subdued and respectful, maintaining the atmosphere of calm efficiency that governs all aspects of household life. Stories are shared of small successes and minor challenges, creating the bonds of shared experience that unite the service staff. The head servant joins the meal briefly, her presence bringing a slightly more formal tone to the gathering. She expresses satisfaction with the morning's successful management of the special visit, acknowledging the contributions of various staff members to the overall success. Such recognition is valued not just for its immediate warmth but for its reinforcement of the team approach that makes complex service possible. The meal concludes with the same attention to proper procedure that governed its service. Dishes are cleared and carried to the kitchen for cleaning. The table surface is wiped clean, and the area is restored to readiness for its next use. Even the simplest activities follow established patterns that ensure consistency and efficiency. The afternoon's tasks begin to take shape as various staff members discuss their planned activities. Garden maintenance, clothing repair, household cleaning, and food preparation for the evening meal all require attention. The work continues in cycles that repeat daily but never become merely automatic, each iteration requiring fresh attention and care. You make your way to the area where clothing maintenance is performed, a space dedicated to the careful cleaning, mending, and storage of the household's extensive wardrobe. The morning's formal attire requires special attention, ensuring that it is properly cleaned and prepared for its next use, whenever that might come. The formal kimono your master wore for the morning's meeting hangs from a special frame designed to maintain its proper shape while allowing air circulation for cleaning and freshening. The silk fabric still holds the faint warmth of recent wear, and its surface shows no signs of damage or excessive wear despite the morning's activities. Cleaning such garments requires techniques that have been refined over generations of careful practice. The fabric cannot be subjected to harsh treatment, but it must be thoroughly cleaned of any traces of perspiration, dust, or other contamination that might have accumulated during wear. Special brushes with soft bristles remove surface dust, while careful steaming addresses deeper cleaning needs. The obi requires even more delicate treatment, its metallic threads and complex weave making it particularly vulnerable to improper handling. You work with infinite patience, using techniques that your predecessor taught you through careful demonstration and patient correction. The knowledge of proper textile care is passed down through generations of servants, each one adding refinements to the accumulated wisdom. As you work, you find yourself thinking about the morning's activities and their place in the larger patterns of household life. The formal visit was extraordinary in its demands and importance, but it was also typical of the kind of challenges that periodically test every aspect of the household's capabilities. Success in such moments depends on the quality of daily preparation and the depth of accumulated skill. The afternoon light filtering through the work area windows creates a peaceful atmosphere conducive to the careful, detailed work of clothing maintenance. The repetitive motions of cleaning and inspection have their own meditative quality, allowing the mind to process the morning's experiences while the hands perform familiar tasks. Other garments await attention as well, the daily accumulation of clothing that requires cleaning, mending, or simple maintenance to keep it in proper condition. A small tear in a cotton undergarment needs careful stitching. A silk sash requires gentle cleaning to remove a minor stain. A formal jacket needs brushing and airing to restore its crisp lines. You work methodically, your fingers moving with the precision that comes from months of practice. The brush in your hand is soft but sturdy, its bristles gliding over the fabric in short, controlled strokes. Each pass removes invisible dust, coaxing the jacket back to its proper state of dignity. The silk sash is more delicate, requiring a damp cloth and the lightest touch to lift the faint mark without disturbing the weave. You hold your breath as you work, aware that a single careless motion could ruin the fabric and earn the head servant's disapproval. The air in the clothing maintenance room is cool, tinged with the faint scent of cedar from the storage cabinets. The wooden frames of the cabinets are polished to a soft sheen, their surfaces reflecting the afternoon light in muted tones. You can hear the distant clatter of dishes from the kitchen, where the midday meal cleanup continues. The rhythm of the house has settled into its afternoon pace, slower now that the morning's formal demands have been met, but no less precise in its expectations. You move to the next garment, a cotton under-kimono that has been worn daily and shows signs of wear along the seams. Your needle is small, its tip sharp enough to pierce the fabric cleanly without pulling threads. You thread it with care, choosing a color that matches the garment exactly, and begin stitching the seam closed. Each stitch is tiny, almost invisible, designed to strengthen without altering the garment's appearance. Your fingers ache slightly from the morning's work, but you push through the discomfort, focusing on the rhythm of needle in, needle out, thread pulled taut but not too tight. The room is quiet except for the soft rustle of fabric and the occasional creak of the house settling in the warmth of the afternoon. A single window, covered by a thin paper screen, lets in a diffused glow that softens the edges of everything. You pause to adjust the screen slightly, ensuring the light falls evenly across your work area. The paper is delicate, its texture slightly rough under your fingertips, and you handle it with the same care you give to the clothing. A tear in the screen would be a small disaster, requiring hours of careful repair. The cotton kimono is mended now, and you fold it with precision, aligning the edges perfectly before placing it in its designated storage space. The act of folding is almost ceremonial, each crease pressed firmly with the side of your hand to ensure sharpness. You can feel the texture of the fabric, slightly worn but still strong, carrying the faint scent of the soap used in its last washing. The storage cabinet accepts the kimono like a silent partner, its cedar scent mingling with the clean fabric to create a fragrance that speaks of order and care. From outside, you hear the soft patter of rain beginning to fall. The sound is gentle at first, a faint tapping against the tiled roof, but it grows steadier as the minutes pass. The air in the room feels cooler now, the humidity rising slightly as the rain brings moisture to the world outside. You glance toward the window, noting how the light has dimmed, the paper screen now glowing with a softer, grayer tone. The rain will mean extra work later, muddy paths to sweep, wet sandals to dry, but for now, it adds a soothing backdrop to your tasks. The next garment is a heavier outer kimono, one your master wears for cooler days. Its fabric is thick, the weave tight and strong, designed to withstand the elements while maintaining an appearance of understated elegance. You inspect it carefully, running your hands along the seams to check for any signs of wear. A small fray catches your attention, barely visible but enough to require attention. You reach for the needle again, threading it with a sturdier thread this time, and begin the delicate work of reinforcing the seam. Your stitches are small and even, each one placed with the precision of a calligrapher's brushstroke. You have seen the head servant's work and know the standard you must meet. Her stitches are flawless, invisible even to a trained eye, and you strive to match that level of skill. The needle moves smoothly through the fabric, guided by your fingers, which have learned to anticipate the resistance of each layer. The work is slow, but you do not rush. Patience is as much a part of this task as the needle itself. The rain continues outside, its rhythm steady now, a constant murmur that blends with the sounds of the house. You can hear the faint drip of water collecting in the stone basin outside the window, a sound that is both familiar and calming. The household feels cocooned in this moment, the rain creating a barrier between the interior world of duty and the broader world beyond. You let the sound wash over you, grounding you in the repetitive motion of your work. When the kimono is mended, you hang it carefully on a wooden stand, ensuring the fabric drapes naturally to avoid creases. The stand is smooth under your hands, its surface polished by years of use. You adjust the kimono slightly, stepping back to assess the angle of the folds. Everything must be perfect, not just for today but for the next time it is worn, whether tomorrow or weeks from now. The care you invest now ensures the garment's longevity, a small but tangible contribution to the household's dignity. The afternoon is slipping away, the light through the paper screen growing dimmer as the rain clouds thicken. You move to the next task, organizing the sewing supplies and cleaning tools that have accumulated during your work. Each item has its place: a small basket for needles, a wooden box for threads, a folded cloth for brushes. You arrange them with the same precision you applied to the clothing, knowing that disorganization here would lead to delays and mistakes later. The sound of footsteps in the corridor draws your attention. They are light and quick, likely Yuki returning from her garden work. You pause, listening to confirm her identity by the rhythm of her walk. She passes by the doorway, her silhouette briefly visible through the paper screen, and you hear her soft humming as she moves toward the servants' quarters. The sound is a reminder of the shared life you lead here, each servant contributing to the household's rhythm in their own way. You finish organizing the sewing supplies and take a moment to stretch your fingers, which have grown stiff from the detailed work. The knuckles crack softly as you flex them, a small release of tension that feels almost luxurious in its simplicity. Your body is accustomed to long hours of labor, but these small moments of relief are precious, stolen between tasks that never truly end. The rain has slowed now, leaving behind a quiet drip from the eaves and a fresh, clean scent that drifts through the window. You step to the screen and slide it open slightly, letting the cool air touch your face. The courtyard outside is glistening with moisture, the stones darker now, their surfaces reflecting the muted light. A single carp moves lazily in the small pond, its orange scales catching a fleeting ray of sunlight that breaks through the clouds. You linger for a moment, watching the carp's slow circles. Its movements are hypnotic, each glide through the water a reminder of the stillness that exists even in a life of constant duty. The pond's surface ripples gently, disturbed by the last drops of rain, and you find yourself matching your breathing to the rhythm of those ripples. This is not rest, exactly, but a pause, a brief alignment with the world's quieter rhythms. The moment passes, and you close the screen, returning to your tasks. The next item on your list is the preparation of ink and brushes for your master's evening writing. He often spends time after the midday meal reviewing documents or composing letters, and your role is to ensure his writing materials are ready when he needs them. You gather the necessary supplies from the storage area, moving with the quiet efficiency that prevents any disturbance to the house's calm. The ink stone is heavy in your hands, its surface smooth and cool to the touch. You carry it to the small table in your master's study, placing it exactly where he prefers, aligned with the edge of the table. The brush is next, its bamboo handle worn smooth by years of use, its bristles soft but firm, capable of producing the precise strokes your master favors. You lay it beside the inkstone, ensuring the bristles do not touch the table's surface. The ink stick requires careful grinding to produce the smooth, glossy ink your master expects. You add a few drops of water to the stone's well, then begin moving the ink stick in slow, circular motions. The sound is soft, a faint scrape that blends with the drip of water outside. The ink begins to form, its color deepening with each pass of the stick. You watch the liquid pool in the stone's well, adjusting the pressure of your grinding to achieve the perfect consistency. The room smells faintly of the ink, a rich, earthy scent that mingles with the cedar of the storage cabinets and the lingering dampness from the rain. You focus on the task, letting the repetitive motion guide your thoughts. The grinding of ink is another meditative act, its rhythm as steady as the sweeping of floors or the stitching of fabric. Your hands know the work, and your mind settles into the calm focus that such tasks demand. When the ink is ready, you set the stick aside and cover the stone to keep the ink fresh. The brush is cleaned of any stray dust, its bristles carefully aligned to maintain their shape. The paper, stored in a flat wooden box, is checked for any imperfections, creases or smudges that might mar your master's work. Everything is arranged with the precision of a tea ceremony, each element in its proper place, ready for use. From the corridor comes the sound of your master's footsteps, slower now than during the morning's formal activities. He is likely returning to his study after the midday meal, ready to begin his writing or review. You bow as he enters, your movements silent and unobtrusive, then step back to the edge of the room, ready to assist if needed but otherwise invisible. He settles at the table, his movements calm and deliberate. The ink stone catches his eye, and he nods slightly, a gesture so small it might go unnoticed by someone less attuned to his habits. But you see it, and it carries the weight of approval, a silent acknowledgement that your preparation has met his standards. You remain in position, your eyes lowered, listening for any indication of further need. The sound of the brush moving across paper fills the room, a soft, rhythmic scratching that speaks of focused effort. Your master's hand moves with the confidence of long practice, each stroke deliberate and precise. Occasionally, he pauses to dip the brush in the ink you prepared, and you watch the bristles absorb the liquid, their tips glistening before they return to the paper. The rain has stopped entirely now, leaving behind a quiet that feels deeper for its contrast with the earlier patter. The house is settling into the afternoon's routines, each servant moving through their tasks with the same dedication you bring to yours. From the kitchen comes the faint sound of preparations for the evening meal, the clatter of pots and the soft murmur of voices coordinating the work. You remain in the study for some time, ensuring that your master has everything he needs. Occasionally, he sets the brush aside and rubs his hands together, a small gesture that suggests the ink has cooled his fingers. You step forward silently, offering a small cloth to warm his hands, then retreat again, your presence as unobtrusive as a shadow. The afternoon light fades gradually, the paper screens glowing with a softer, golden hue as the sun moves lower in the sky. The study feels warmer now, the air carrying the faint heat of the day despite the earlier rain. You adjust the screen slightly to maintain the balance of light and shadow, ensuring your master's work is not disturbed by glare. When he sets the brush down for the final time, you move forward to clean the inkstone and store the writing materials. The ink has dried slightly at the edges of the stone, and you clean it carefully with a soft cloth, ensuring no residue remains to mar future use. The brush is rinsed in clean water, its bristles restored to their proper shape, and the paper is returned to its box, each sheet aligned perfectly. Your master rises and leaves the study, his footsteps carrying him toward the main hall, where you will likely spend time reviewing the day's events or preparing for the evening. You complete your tasks in the study, ensuring everything is returned to its proper place. Then make your way to the next duty, which involves preparing the bathhouse for the evening's use. The bathhouse is a small structure adjacent to the main house, its wooden walls darkened by years of steam and heat. You enter and begin gathering firewood from the neatly stacked pile outside, your arms filling with the rough, dry logs. The scent of the wood is sharp and clean, mingling with the faint dampness that always lingers in the bathhouse air. You arrange the firewood in the stone hearth beneath the bathing tub, stacking it with care to ensure proper airflow. The kindling is small and dry, perfect for catching the first spark. You strike the flint with practiced ease, watching as the spark catches and grows into a small flame. The fire takes hold quickly, the wood crackling softly as it begins to burn. The heat from the fire warms your hands, a welcome contrast to the cool air of the late afternoon. You feed the fire carefully, adding logs one at a time to build a steady, even heat. The tub above the hearth begins to warm, its metal surface conducting the heat to the water within. You check the water level, ensuring it is sufficient for your master's bath, then add a small amount from the well bucket to adjust the temperature. The bathhouse fills with the scent of burning wood and rising steam, a combination that is both comforting and invigorating. You sweep the stone floor around the tub, removing any stray ash or debris that might have accumulated. The broom is light in your hands, its bristles worn but still effective, and you move with the steady rhythm that characterizes all your cleaning tasks. The sandals your master will wear to the bathhouse are placed carefully at the entrance, their straw surfaces clean and aligned precisely. You check them for any signs of wear, knowing that a damaged sandal could cause discomfort or embarrassment. Everything must be perfect, from the heat of the water to the placement of the sandals, to ensure your master's comfort and the household's reputation. The fire is burning steadily now, the tub's water reaching the proper temperature. You test it with your hand, feeling the warmth spread through your fingers. It is just right, warm but not scalding, the kind of heat that soothes without overwhelming. You add a final log to the fire to maintain the temperature, then step back to survey your work. The bathhouse is ready, its air warm and humid, its surfaces clean and orderly. You leave the structure and return to the main house, where the evening's preparations are underway. The kitchen is alive with activity, the staff working to prepare the evening meal with the same care they brought to the morning's formal service. The scents of miso, rice, and grilled fish fill the air, promising a meal that is both simple and satisfying. You make your way to the main hall to prepare the dining area for the evening meal. The low table is already clean, but you wipe it again with a damp cloth, ensuring no trace of dust or residue remains. The cushions are adjusted, their surfaces smoothed to remove any wrinkles. The room feels different in the evening light, its atmosphere softer and more intimate than during the morning's formal activities. The evening meal is served with the same precision that governs all household activities, though the tone is less formal than the morning's elaborate preparations. You carry trays from the kitchen, your steps measured to avoid spilling even a drop of soup or misplacing a single grain of rice. The dishes are arranged on the table with care, each one positioned to create a balanced, harmonious presentation. Your master enters the room, his presence bringing a quiet authority that shapes the atmosphere. You bow as he settles at the table, then move to serve the meal, your movements silent and efficient. The soup is poured carefully, its steam rising in delicate curls. The rice is served in small, perfect portions, each grain gleaming in the soft light of the oil lamps that have been lit to illuminate the room. The meal proceeds in near silence, broken only by the soft clink of chopsticks against bowls and the occasional murmur of appreciation from your master. You remain nearby, ready to respond to any need, your attention focused on the subtle cues that indicate satisfaction or desire for more. The rhythm of service is familiar now, a dance of anticipation and response that you have mastered through months of practice. When the meal is complete, you clear the dishes with the same care you used in their service, ensuring nothing is spilled or mishandled. The table is wiped clean, the cushions are straightened, and the room is restored to its pristine state. The oil lamps cast a warm, flickering light across the surfaces, creating shadows that dance gently with the movement of the flame. The evening deepens, the house growing quieter as the day's activities wind down. You make a final round of the main areas, checking for any tasks that might have been overlooked. The corridors are silent now, their paper screens glowing faintly with the last of the evening light. The air carries the lingering sense of the meal, the bathhouse fire, and the faint dampness left by the afternoon's rain. Your final task is to prepare your master's sleeping area. The futon is laid out on the tatami mats, its surface smoothed to ensure comfort. The quilt is folded back, ready for use, its fabric soft from years of careful washing. You check the room for any signs of dust or disorder, your cloth moving swiftly over surfaces to ensure everything is perfect. The house is dark now, the oil lamps extinguished except for a single one in the corridor, its light barely reaching the edges of the room. You move through the darkness with the confidence of familiarity, your feet knowing every board, every step that might creak if placed incorrectly. The silence is profound, broken only by the soft creak of the house settling and the distant chime of a temple bell carried on the night air. You make your way to the servants' quarters, where your own sleeping mat awaits. The straw is thin but familiar, its surface cool against your skin as you lie down. The quilt is patched but warm, its weight a small comfort after the long day. You can hear the breathing of the other servants, their soft rhythms blending with the sounds of the house. The darkness wraps around you like a second quilt, heavy and soothing. Your body aches from the day's labor, but the exhaustion is a familiar companion, a sign that you have given everything to your duties. The creak of the house is a lullaby, its wooden beams speaking softly of the day's end. Somewhere, a cricket chirps faintly, its sound fading into the stillness. Your eyes grow heavy, the edges of the world softening as sleep approaches. The mat beneath you is hard, but it is yours, a small space of rest in a life of constant service. The temple bell rings again, its sound distant and fleeting, like a memory of another world. You let it carry you, your breathing slowing, your thoughts drifting into silence. The morning comes too soon, the darkness giving way to the faint gray light of pre-dawn. You rise before the others, your body moving automatically through the familiar routine of folding your quilt and rolling up your mat. The air is cool, carrying the crisp scent of early autumn, and your breath is visible in small clouds as you step into the corridor. The house is still asleep, its silence broken only by the occasional creak of wood or the soft rustle of a paper screen shifting in the breeze. You move to the main hall, your cleaning supplies already waiting where you left them the previous evening. The bucket is cold to the touch, its water clear and fresh from the well. The cloth feels familiar in your hands, its texture worn but still effective. You kneel and begin cleaning the floorboards, your movements slow and deliberate. The wood is cool under your hands, its grain catching the faint light that filters through the screens. Each stroke of the cloth is a small act of renewal, restoring the surface to its proper state of cleanliness. The rhythm is meditative, your mind settling into the task as the world outside begins to wake. The first birds are singing now, their calls soft and tentative in the early morning air. You can hear the distant sound of water being drawn from the well, probably Kenji preparing for the morning's tea. The house is stirring, its rhythms aligning with the rising sun. You move to the next section of floor, your knees sliding across the polished wood, your hands guiding the cloth in long, even sweeps. The bucket water grows murky as you work, the dirt of the previous day's footsteps collecting in the liquid. You pause to empty it, carrying the bucket carefully to avoid spilling on the floor you have just cleaned. The courtyard is quiet, the stones still damp from yesterday's rain, their surfaces glistening in the growing light. You refill the bucket at the well, the rope rough against your palms, the water cold and clear as it rises from the depths. Back in the main hall, you resume your cleaning, the fresh water making your cloth more effective. The floorboards gleam now, their surfaces reflecting the soft light like a still pond. You can see the faint outline of your reflection in the wood, a wavering image that shifts with each movement of your hand. The task is nearly complete, but you take your time, ensuring every inch of the floor meets the standard expected by the head servant. From the kitchen comes the sound of the morning fire being kindled, the soft crackle of charcoal blending with the clatter of pots. The scent of miso begins to drift through the house, a promise of the morning meal to come. You finish the floor and move to the tatami mats, sweeping them gently with a soft broom to remove any stray dust. The mats are smooth under the broom, their weave tight and even, a testament to the craftsmanship that went into their creation. The house is fully awake now, the sounds of activity growing louder as the other servants begin their tasks. You hear Yuki's footsteps in the garden, the soft scrape of her rake against the gravel paths. Kenji's voice carries faintly from the kitchen, giving quiet instructions to another servant. The rhythm of the household is reasserting itself, each task contributing to the larger harmony. Your next task is to prepare the morning tea, a ritual you have performed countless times but still approach with care. You gather the tea implements from their storage area, checking each piece for cleanliness and proper condition. The tea bowl is smooth and cool in your hands, its ceramic surface showing the subtle marks of long use. The bamboo whisk is delicate, its tines perfectly aligned, ready to blend the tea powder into a smooth, frothy liquid. You arrange the implements on the low table in the main hall, each piece placed with the precision of a calligrapher's stroke. The tea bowl sits at the exact center of the table's designated section, the whisk angled to its right, the tea container to its left. The arrangement is simple but deliberate, reflecting the harmony that underlies all household rituals. The water for the tea is heating in the kitchen, and you move there to collect the kettle. The air is warm with the heat of the fire, the scent of charcoal mingling with the miso and rice being prepared for the morning meal. Kenji nods as you enter, his hands busy with the arrangement of coals to maintain the perfect temperature. You lift the kettle carefully, its handle wrapped in cloth to protect your hands from the heat, and carry it back to the main hall. Your master's footsteps echo in the corridor, their rhythm as familiar as your own heartbeat. You kneel at the table, your posture straight and attentive, ready to begin the tea preparation as soon as he enters. The kettle's warmth radiates through the cloth, a steady heat that matches the growing light filtering through the paper screens. He enters the room, his presence bringing the same quiet authority as always. You bow, your eyes lowered, and begin the tea preparation. The powder is measured with the bamboo scoop, each portion falling into the bowl with a soft whisper. The hot water pours in a thin, controlled stream, its steam rising in delicate curls. You whisk the tea with quick, precise strokes, watching as the powder and water blend into a vibrant green liquid, its surface lightly frosted with foam. The bowl is presented to your master with both hands, your movements slow and respectful. He accepts it with the same ritual precision, his hands brushing yours briefly as the bowl changes possession. You kneel again, your eyes lowered, listening to the soft sounds of him drinking, the gentle sigh of satisfaction that tells you the tea has been prepared correctly. When he finishes, you clear the implements, cleaning each piece with care and returning it to its proper place. The bowl is rinsed in warm water, the whisk cleaned tine by tine, the tea container wiped free of any stray powder. The table is wiped clean, the cushion straightened, and the room restored to its pristine state. The morning meal follows, a simpler affair than yesterday's formal service but prepared with the same attention to detail. You carry trays from the kitchen, arranging the dishes on the table with care. The rice is steaming, its grains perfectly cooked, each one distinct yet cohesive. The miso soup is fragrant, its surface dotted with small pieces of tofu and seaweed. A small portion of pickled vegetables adds color and crunch to the meal. Your master eats in silence, his movements measured and deliberate. You remain nearby, ready to serve additional portions or clear dishes as needed. The meal is consumed slowly, each bite savored, each sip of soup appreciated for its warmth and flavor. The simplicity of the meal belies the skill required to prepare it, a reminder that even the most routine tasks in this household demand excellence. When the meal is complete, you clear the table and return to the kitchen, where the dishes are cleaned and stored with the same care you applied to their service. The kitchen is quieter now, the morning's preparations complete, the staff settling into the day's routine tasks. You can hear the soft clatter of pots being cleaned, the murmur of voices discussing the day's schedule. Your next task takes you to the garden, where Yuki has asked for assistance with a heavy pruning job. The air outside is fresh, the ground still damp from yesterday's rain. You carry a basket of tools, their wooden handles smooth from years of use, and join Yuki near a row of low shrubs that line the stone path. The pruning is careful work, requiring attention to the shape and health of each plant. Yuki shows you where to cut, her hands guiding yours to the proper angle. The shears are sharp, their blades glinting in the morning light, and each cut is clean and precise, removing dead branches while preserving the plant's natural form. The scent of cut greenery fills the air, sharp and vibrant, mingling with the damp earth beneath your feet. You work in silence, the only sounds the snip of shears and the occasional rustle of leaves falling to the ground. The garden is a place of quiet beauty, its elements arranged to create a sense of harmony and balance. The stone path gleams in the sunlight, its surface swept clean by Yuki's earlier efforts. The pond reflects the sky, its carp moving lazily beneath the surface. The pruning takes most of the morning, your hands growing tired from the repetitive motion but your mind calm in the rhythm of the work. When the task is complete, the shrubs look healthier, their shapes more defined, their branches ready to grow stronger in the coming season. You gather the cut branches into a basket, carrying them to the compost pile at the edge of the garden. The sun is high now, its warmth dispelling the last of the morning's coolness. You pause for a moment to drink water from a wooden ladle, the liquid cool and refreshing against your throat. The garden feels alive around you, its plants and stones and water all part of a living composition that requires constant care to maintain its beauty. You return to the house, where the afternoon's tasks await. The head servant has left instructions to inspect the storeroom, ensuring that supplies are properly organized and inventoried. The storeroom is a small, cool space lined with wooden shelves, each one holding containers of rice, dried fish, and other essentials. You check each container, ensuring the lids are secure and the contents free of spoilage. The work is meticulous, requiring you to count and recount, to check for any signs of pests or dampness that might threaten the stores. The air in the storeroom is dry and slightly musty, the scent of rice mingling with the faint tang of dried seaweed. You move methodically, your hands brushing against the rough surfaces of the containers, your eyes scanning for any irregularities. The inventory is recorded on a small sheet of paper, your brush moving carefully to form each character. Your handwriting is not as elegant as your master's, but it is clear and precise, sufficient for the head servant's review. Each number is checked twice, ensuring no mistakes that might lead to shortages or waste. The work is slow, but you take satisfaction in its completion, knowing it contributes to the household's smooth operation. The afternoon passes in this quiet, focused work, the storeroom gradually returning to its state of perfect order. The shelves are aligned, the containers properly sealed, the inventory sheet complete and ready for inspection. You step back to survey your work, the dim light of the storeroom casting soft shadows across the orderly space. From the main house comes the sound of your master's voice, speaking quietly with another servant. The afternoon is a time for less formal activities, but the need for service never truly ends. You make your way back to the main hall, ready to assist with whatever tasks the head servant assigns next. The evening approaches with the same quiet inevitability as the morning, the light fading into a soft golden glow that bathes the house in warmth. You are tasked with lighting the oil lamps, a job that requires care to avoid spilling oil or damaging the delicate wicks. Each lamp is filled, its wick trimmed and positioned to burn cleanly, its light casting a gentle glow across the rooms. The house feels different in the evening, its atmosphere softer, its rhythms slower. The day's work has left you tired, your body heavy with the accumulation of small aches and strains. But there is satisfaction in this exhaustion, a sense that you have met the day's demands with the care and precision expected of you. Your final task is to check the bathhouse, ensuring the fire is properly banked and the tub cleaned for the next use. The air in the bathhouse is still warm, the scent of wood smoke lingering faintly. You sweep the floor, check the water containers, and ensure the sandals are properly placed for the morning. The work is simple but necessary, a final act of care before the day's end. The house is dark now, the lamps casting their soft light across the corridors. You make your way to the servants' quarters, your steps silent on the polished floors. The other servants are already settling in, their breathing soft in the darkness. You unroll your mat, its straw surface cool and familiar, and fold your quilt over your body. The house creaks softly, its wooden beams settling in the night's coolness. The air carries the faint scent of tatami and candle wax, a reminder of the day's work. Somewhere in the distance, a bell rings, its sound faint and fleeting, carried on the night breeze. Your eyes close, your breathing slows, and the world fades into stillness, the soft creak of the house the last sound you hear as sleep claims you.